r/ask Reddit. When is failure not an option? Skydiving. Nah, everyone is allowed to jump out of a plane without a working parachute once in their lives. On the bright side, if your chute malfunctions you have the rest of your life to fix it. Of course it works. They have a lifetime guarantee. Bring it back if it doesn't work, and we'll replace it. Free. I was backpacking in Alaska. I was being careless and had gotten turned around and lost the trail. Not a huge deal, I'm pretty good at orienteering and I had a pretty good handle on where I was. Had plenty of food and water was everywhere. I decided to freak the duck out though before I sat down and rationally thought that out. The world is a big place when you're all alone in the wilderness. Once I calmed down I came to the decision that I had no choice but to get my shit together and keep going or die. Worked out which way I needed to travel to hit some roads and started out. Took a couple days and working through a bunch of self-doubt. But I eventually found a road and made my way to civilization. Wow, that's amazing and kinda scary at the same time. Glad you found your way out of there eventually and can tell an awesome story. Sure is. Reminds me of Into the Wild. That's amazingly Chad of you. I want you to know that you have inspired me by sharing your experience. Those multiple choice questions that some teachers put in Kahoots where all of the answers are correct. Time runs out, you lose. That's a valid way to lose in real life too. Failure is always an option, just sometimes an unpleasant one. Or when it's physically impossible to fail. In that case you just fail at failing. Which means failure is always an option. A personal story. I had just started a new IT job back in 2017. Working for my boss from a previous job. The CEO owner of that company owned several other small businesses that I didn't work for. On my way home one day my boss calls me King Cobra. The CEO's biggest company just got hit by ransomware and he needs your help. I'm on a plane to Phoenix, AZ the next morning. I find out that every server, even backups, had been encrypted. If I didn't succeed hundreds of people would lose their jobs and the company would fold. Failure was not an option. Long story short, it took 3 days, gallons of coffee and Red Bull, to get everything up and running. After that, the CEO asked me to join that company as their lead IT person and I accepted. Yep, you totally planted the encryption for company clout. You weren't supposed to tell anybody that. I thought that encryption was pretty solid. Mind sharing how you pulled off this fix? So we ended up having to pay the ransom. We received the decryption tool from the hackers. It's not as simple as that. We decrypted a few servers and thought everything was golden. Until we saw them encrypt again in real time. We found out that a user had clicked on a link in a personal email and the ransomware attached to a file share. Create a domain admin account. Not really sure how they did that. And caused the ransomware to run as a service across all of the servers. We had to hunt this down. Removed the admin account and services. After that, decrypting was cake. Needless to say that I made a ton of security changes when I was brought on board. When you're Gene Kranz but have 3 astronauts stuck in space. This is what I thought of when writing the post LOL. When you have an Asian dad, you can be anything you want when you grow up, a doctor or an engineer. Ah, come on, it's a bit more flexible than that. You can be a lawyer as well if you want it. When the doctor is delivering a baby. What if it's multiple babies? Firmly grasp child, yeet the child. When typing sentences on Reddit, one typo and you're dead. You skipped the last period like a high school senior who's done with it all. When cutting the red, blue, yellow or green wire. Red, blue, or green, it's always red or blue in the movies. So, green? No, not the green-boom. Attempted murder. If you shoot the king, you better kill him. A man gotta have a code. Failure to establish communication with relevant calcins and equipment in a coal mine will result in termination. Failure to wear a seatbelt in a coal mine will be treated as a federal offense and result in a $250,000 fine, termination of employment, and incarceration. There's a fire in Centralia, Pennsylvania that's been burning since 1967. It's inside a coal mine, and it happened because the town tried to burn the trash in its landfill to free up some room. Turns out a vein of coal was right up against it, and caught on fire. Only a few people remain in the town. and highways had to be abandoned because burning holes kept cracking up through them. When playing Russian roulette, it will at least be the last of your failures. You can actually survive a headshot, so I have been told. I was diagnosed with cancer back in 2018. Decided that I'd fight it tooth and nail with everything I had. That didn't last very long. Man, it was tiring. I gave it my all every single day, and eventually I just got so exhausted of it that I decided I was just gonna stop. It was so emotionally, physically, and mentally tiring. So I snapped and decided that I was just gonna stop trying. It wasn't a suicidal kind of thing. I didn't want to die, but I wanted to just stop. Stop moving. Stop caring. Stop everything. Well, despite that, stuff kept going. Life kept on proceeding as normal. Treatment still persisted. The people around me still kept living their lives. The hospitals kept working. The children still went to Disneyland. Adults kept going to work every day. The world just kept on spinning. Time kept moving forward, and giving up wasn't going to stop that. That's when it really hit me that this wasn't something I could just quit. Even if I wanted to, giving up wouldn't make a single difference in how I felt. And it certainly wasn't going to find me peace. It was actually surprisingly comforting, knowing that even when I hit my very lowest points, life would keep on pushing me forward, and I'd still be making some sort of progress. I learned that day not to push through my chemotherapy with everything I had, but to instead spend my time relaxing and enjoying what I had around me. I made friends with the nurses, went on frequent walks, and valued the fact that I still had my life, cause I might not have been able to keep it for long. I accepted my reality for what it was and focused my energy on improving it in small ways. I finished treatment later that year, and even though I have terrible days, I've never considered failure an option. I can't give up just as much as gravity simply can't cease working, or the earth simply can't cease orbiting the sun. It's just not on the menu. When giving up no longer becomes an option, you start immediately thinking of other ways to press forward. You start making new plans to keep going through life. You just do. It's like magic. So to answer the question, failure, giving up, is not an option for life. For me. Landing a plane. A good landing is one that you can walk away from. A great landing is one where they can reuse the plane afterwards. Landing is the art of bringing all the pieces of the airplane back to the ground in the same order you took them before the flight. When you are CJ and have to follow the goddamn train, all you had to do was follow the goddamn train. Hand grenades and helicopters. Next question. Giving birth. You either successfully deliver it, have a successful C-section, or you die trying and they remove the kid via C-section to see if it's alive. No matter what comes out, living or dead, you still gave birth. Even if you died during it, you can't suck the kid back in. You cannot fail at giving birth. The kid can die inside the womb and just shrivel up. They didn't say it had to be a live birth. When you're trying to guess whether it's just a fart, if you have a uterus, you've got another chamber potentially working against you in that game of Russian roulette. Double the pleasure, double the fun, I guess. Professions related to health. Within my family there are 2 doctors and 4 nurses, and I can say that the pressure on them all the time is brutal. My mother tells me that the simple fact that a baby's umbilical cord becomes entangled in her neck can cause permanent damage. In addition, the relatives of the patients can sue you for negligence despite the fact that most of the time they are fortuitous errors. People often forget the fragility of life. This happened to my mum in labor with me. Everything was going fine and then I flipped up and got tangled, facing the wrong way, etc. Had to perform an emergency C-section. The cord was wrapped twice around my neck. Luckily I got out fine. Weird thing is the exact same thing happened to my younger brother. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.